Hey, I'm Caroline. Normally I can be found exploring countries overseas during my school's holidays, but 2020, the beast that it is, has forced me to rethink how I spend my time off from teaching. I'm a few days into an exciting 2-week road trip around parts of the Scottish Highlands and Islands. So far, along with some friends of mine, I've explored the Glencoe Valley, pushed my physical limits, and hiked to the highest point in the UK, the top of Ben Nevis, as well as taking things a little easier, having checked out the Harry Potter train and wandered with the tourist masses along the fairy pools. In today's episode, I'll be hiking a circular trail along the Isle of Skye's Quiraing. Good morning and welcome to a very cold and blustery day here on the Isle of Skye. I'm completely layered up. I've even got gloves on. It's so chilly. You wouldn't think that it was July. Today the weather is supposed to be the best that we've got whilst we're up here, in the sense that it's potentially going to give us a tiny shower at 10 o'clock and then for the rest of the day it's just going to hold off and be cloudy. So we've decided to come to the Quiraing, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly. I found a walk that's a little bit longer than the standard one that most people do. It's a circular one and it's about 6.5 kilometres long with about another 370 something meters elevation gain. It's supposed to be absolutely stunning. Lots of cliff faces because of a landslide that happened here. So we're going to go off on the walk and have a little bit of an explore and see what we find along the way. Overly far into the walk, but it's been absolutely stunning along the way. We've seen lots of the farmers' sheep that's around here, and there's been a few little waterfalls that we've had to cross, and we've got spectacular waterfalls coming down off of cliffs. The weather isn't holding up. It was not supposed to rain today for very long, but we've definitely had showers along the way. But thankfully the gusty winds that we had back at the car park, now that we're actually into the hike and we've got the towering cliffs and hills to my left, they are managing to keep the wind off of us a bit more than what we had at the car park. It's absolutely stunning. I just wish that the weather was playing ball a little bit more. On the walk where we had to take a little bit of time to work out exactly which way we needed to go. Seemed to have paths going off in all different kinds of directions. Over on that side of my shoulder is apparently the prison. I'm not entirely sure why it's called that. We've gone and past is a pinnacle that is actually freestanding, but from the path it's quite difficult to actually be able to tell that it's not attached. Just the whole walk is absolutely spectacular, and I think whilst I don't really feel like we've been particularly blessed with the weather on this trip so far, it has perhaps kept away the crowds because we've had most of this walk to ourselves. There's just been a couple of other really small groups and that's been it. car park, it looked like this whole hike was just going to follow along the same ridge, and I was starting to think that maybe the views along the whole way were going to be exactly the same, but actually the further along that we've gotten on this walk, the more it's opened out into completely different areas that we could not see from the car park, and it's beautiful. It's like every single twist and turn that we're making, it then opens up completely different views. The one that we've just come into at the moment, there's more rock pinnacles. They're a bit smaller than the last ones that we were at, and there's just a pond that you can barely even see the water. It's just got loads of pond reeds growing inside of it, and there's just these, I guess, like glacial boulders with lots of heather growing in amongst it all. It's absolutely stunning. We, I think, have got just a little while longer to go before we're gonna get brought into a completely new part of the walk, I think, with yet another completely different view. This is beautiful, completely different to what I thought when we first started this hike. We have now come through into a really beautiful glen with even more pinnacles inside of it. Again, they're a little bit smaller than the main ones that we were passing earlier on, but this view just changes every a few hundred meters. Only downside at the moment is because of all of the rains that we've been having, it is really quite muddy, and every time we're having to go down onto some rocks every now and again because of the mud that's on the bottom of my hiking shoes, I'm slipping and sliding a little bit, and I'm quite scared that I'm going to fall on my butt. But other than that, this hike is just lovely. Aha point in the hike that is making me realise why I'm loving this one so much, and it's because up until this point it's actually not been strenuous at all. There's been a few like ups and downs, and then we've gotten to this point where we're just needing to go up and up and up, and it's made me realise this is why I'm loving the hike so much. Up until this point it's actually been ridiculously easy, but you still had the benefit of the most amazing views. But right now, it's uphill, and I am still recovering just a little bit from Ben Nevis a few days ago. Up and up, and we've now double backed on ourselves, so those cliffs that we had on the left hand side as we've been walking all the way along are now the cliffs that we've come up onto. So we've got the most stunning views down, I suppose, onto the hiking trail where we have been hiking, but with the sea in the background. We do unfortunately on the other side, so if I just turn around you can see that we do have some clouds coming in onto the hills that we're going to go up on, but this is where we're headed up to next. I think the description of this particular hike, it said that it was really unrelenting in the distance and the height that we're going to have to go up, but whilst yes it is up, it is taking it out of us a little bit, I do question whether the person who wrote it has actually hiked Ben Nevis, because in comparison to that a few days ago, that's what my definition of unrelenting would have been. wish to take back my slightly earlier comment, and that this is actually quite unrelenting. The clouds were definitely making me think that it wasn't quite as high as what it was, and the higher up that we've got, I suppose we've been quite lucky in that the clouds have started to disperse, so we're not actually walking in them. But this just seems to keep on going up and up and up. But the views, I mean, I thought the views were absolutely stunning before we started to make any ascent upwards, but this is absolutely amazing. We're just really hoping that the sun that is behind me over there is going to eventually make its way over towards us. I think we're almost at the top. We've got to keep on going up. To make it up to the point where we can now look down onto the prison that we passed much earlier on, but obviously much further down there. And we've also got the table, which is the bit of flat land behind me. I mean, the views are spectacular down there, but they're even more amazing once you come up here. Obviously the downside is it's really, really windy, so we've got to be quite careful with the cliff edges. Plateaued up here at the top. It's gotten incredibly boggy, and a couple of us have managed to put our feet right in some big puddles, and our feet are soaking wet. The other problem with this, I think, because of how boggy it is up on the top, I think a lot of the hikers who come up here just sort of disperse all over the place to try and avoid them, which has meant that the hiking trail has become nothing, and we're just trying to find our way back onto a hiking trail. We can see the car park, so we're definitely not lost. We're just trying to find the actual path that goes back down to it. Just stopping off for a quick sandwich lunch with a truly amazing view, and then we're going to keep on going, get back down to the car park, which you might just be able to see behind us. Okay, it's official. This hiking trail has now basically just turned into the stream, and we are just following a stream down the side of this hill, and it is so boggy and so rocky and so wet, and I'm just really hoping that I don't fall flat on my face. We've just come down where you can basically see the stream is cut away from the grass. We've had to scramble all the way down that. I was using my hands to be able to get myself down, and a bit of grass just gave way and I've fallen over on my butt, but luckily I've got my rather unattractive waterproof trousers on, so the mud should be able to get off of those quite easily. I'm just hoping that this tiny bit that is left to the car park is going to be a little bit easier, because that was tough, and my muscles and like my legs and my arms are really, really tested to the max at the moment. Alright folks, that's it. We're back to where we started at the trailhead of the Quiraing. It's been an epic hike. I would say that if you aren't really into hiking, but you do want to see something as spectacular as what we've seen today, I would say go all the way out to the very end before we looped back, which is basically when we started to climb upwards. So when you start to climb upwards, at that point turn around and come back, because the path out there was really good. Yeah, it was a little bit rocky in places. There was the odd bit of scrambling across like a little bit of a waterfall or like a little gully, but it wasn't really until we started to gain some height and we had to go up onto the top of the hill where it then started to get really, really boggy, and of course trying to come down off of that was very, very tricky. So if you're not really into hiking, I wouldn't go up to the top, but I would definitely say that for most people, if you want to come and just have a wander along the base part of the Quiraing, or Quiraing, come out here. This has got to be a favourite hike of mine, definitely making it into the top 10 of my all-time favourite hikes. It is just stunning out here. Join me in the next episode when Scotland's weather decides to give us a break and we visit a couple of spots out on the eastern coast of the Isle of Skye before heading back to Uig in search of a hidden waterfall and a curious exploration of the magical and fairy tale-like Fairy Glen. If you've not done so already, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can join me in my Scottish adventures.